everyone, it's Andrea and welcome to this edition of Talks in the Car. Today I want to encourage you about keeping your temple strong, keeping your temple at a place where it needs to be in order for you to do what God is calling you to do. But I want to take that from a different perspective. We often as believers talk about our spiritual man, making sure that we are staying spiritually strong, spiritually fit. We talk about our prayer life. We talk about fasting. We talk about our worship. We talk about making sure that we are in the Word, that we are spending time with God. We talk about all of those things that will keep our spirits strong, that will keep us well connected to God. And we absolutely need to do that. That absolutely needs to be a top priority. But I want to take this to a different level on today. Oftentimes, we will attempt to keep our spiritual man strong and healthy, but yet we will neglect the physical man. God is all about the total person that he created. He's about the spiritual, but he's also about the body. He's about the mind. And so we need to make sure that as we are going through this journey, that we keep our mind, body, and spirit healthy. And so sometimes as we go through this journey, we find ourselves in situations where we need to not only pray, but also look to the professionals, the ones that God has put in place in order for us to keep our temple healthy. Sometimes we feel those little twinges, we feel the headaches, we feel the aches and the pains. We don't feel as mentally sound and as peaceful as we want to be, and we ignore it. We don't go to the professionals. We don't take time to seek what's going on. And then we find ourselves in a place of crisis, or we find ourselves in a place where something that may have been a simple situation is more serious, and now more drastic action needs to take place. I remember when I had my son, and one of the things that I was so fascinated about him when he was little was how clear his eyes were, how clear the whites around his eyes were. And I remember thinking then that he doesn't have a care in the world, that his mind is clear, that he doesn't have any worries, he doesn't have any concerns right now, how his mental health is in the best place that it will be as an infant. And I remember saying to myself that I wanted to be able to do everything that I could as a parent to keep his eyes clear. And I would look at him often and like, yep, those whites are still very bright and very white, and he still has that disposition of no worries. But the reality of that is that as we get older, whether due to just physical aging or due to strain and pressure and different things that we experience in life, those eyes are not as bright. And those things that used to be so simple are not as simple anymore. And so we have to be mindful. We have to visit our doctors. We have to make sure that we stay up and abreast of things that are going on in our bodies. When we feel certain things, don't let them just go. That we need to make sure that we stay caught up, that we stay caught up on those things that we should do annually, those doctor's appointments that we should be seeing on an annual basis. Ladies, there are certain places that we need to go for our women's health, that we need to make sure that we stay up on and that we stay abreast of. Same thing, gentlemen. You may not want to go visit that particular doctor, but it's important. You may feel, and women too, we may feel violated, quote unquote, temporarily, but that violation could save your life, could detect something small or something that is manageable and that could be caught easy and then directed and redirected. But sometimes we just let those things go. If you're dealing with heart disease, or perhaps you have heart disease and diabetes and other ailments that run in your family, we need to be checking up on those. We need to be making sure that we're doing those things that will keep those ailments away from us. I am adopted and was adopted as an infant, and so a lot of medical situations I don't have as much now. Adoption was very different when I was when my parents were going through that, and so a lot of things I don't have because documents were sealed. But because of that, when I go to the doctor, I have to be a little bit more diligent in making sure that certain screenings and certain things are taken care of because I don't have that history. But with that being said, if you know that your mother, your great-grandmother, your father, your uncle, people in your family suffered from diabetes, suffered from heart disease, had certain cancers, had certain situations, suffered from dementia, suffered from Alzheimer's, those are things that we need to stay up on so that you can protect your health. I realized and found out in talking with family members of mine, and again, I'm adopted, so we're talking about my adopted family, found out that the women in the family dealt with dementia. My grandmother dealt with dementia. My mother died from end stage dementia. My aunts, all of them had dementia, and all the women had to deal with that. And so when we laid my last aunt to rest, that was a discussion that was had with my cousins. You know, again, that didn't necessarily affect me because I wasn't from specifically the bloodline, but that was a discussion that was had again with my female cousins, is that, okay, all of our aunts and our grandmother and my grandmother's sisters died from dementia or died from aspects of Alzheimer's, and that we need to find out like what those trigger points are. How can we get past that and to do certain things in order to prolong the mental health? We talked about having to do the exercises that would help in that area. So I know for myself, even though that doesn't necessarily affect me personally, I started doing different mental exercises to kind of keep sharp, different games and different things that I can do on my spare time to kind of keep sharp and to make sure that that aspect of my health is protected. I'm doing the things to make sure that I live a long and prosperous life. God can't use us if our physical health and our mental health is tainted and is compromised. We want to be in our best place. We want to be in the best of health in order for us to complete the mission that God has for us. And so many of you know it. I have shared in other talks in the car about my journey to weight loss and proper health. And to date, I have lost 135 pounds. And at this point, maybe a little bit less, because I know that I have gained probably about 5 to 7 pounds back. But trust and believe, I am on that, and I am making sure that I am doing what I need to do in order not to go backwards, to make sure that I go forward in that. And one of those things that I have done in order to make that happen is that I have cut down on my visits to Starbucks. Going every day is not going to get the results that I desire for myself. And so I started meal prepping. My son and I have been meal prepping for things for our lunches and our dinners. Aside from our physical health, meal prepping for us is helping us in our finances. You know, we're not door dashing as much. Yes, we may still do some things, but we're trying not to have doing that every day. Why? Because we have a whole refrigerator. We have the means in order to cook. And so we need to be doing that and stop being lazy and stop making excuses why we need to do certain things and go certain places and spend certain amount of money when we can be being proactive and doing those things at home. And so I've been bringing my lunch. I've been making my own drinks at home, my own protein shakes and different things, so that I can not go backwards in this long journey that I've been on, and I can make sure that I can keep forward and get to the goal weight that I desire for myself. And so in saying all that, let's make sure that we are preparing and we are protecting our whole body, mind, spirit. Make sure we're doing that. If you need to talk to someone, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling overwhelmed with life, whatever that means for you, if you're feeling overwhelmed in your job, if you're feeling depressed in your relationships, if you are feeling tired mentally, your home life, life with your children, whatever that looks like for you, you know what? There are people that you can talk to. There are Christian-based people that you can talk to, whether or not it's your pastor, whether or not it's someone who has a degree in mental health and in counseling that you can talk to. There are people, particularly for the African American culture, that has been taboo for so long. But yet, guess what? God has given people the know-how, the gift, the talent in order to help you be the best you. People have gone to school to get their degrees and to get their certifications in mental health so that they can help you. And so search out those people. Search out people who will be unbiased and be able to say, look, this is what it is. This is what you need to do. This is how you can get over this particular hurdle. Don't allow yourself to allow things to pile up and pile up and pile up, and now you're at a different place and you can't get from under it. So many times people allow those things to just accumulate in your mind, accumulate in your heart, and the things that are in your mind can affect your body. Stress is killing people. Stress is putting pressure on your heart. It's putting pressure on your mind. People, unfortunately, are taking their own lives. Why? Because there was some choices sometimes that were made to carry burdens that they didn't have to carry. They didn't know where to go. They didn't know who to talk to. So I encourage you, if you are experiencing abuse in relationships, mental abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, there are places where you can go. Don't allow yourself to walk in that path, in that journey. I know personally what that can do to you. I know what it means to walk and to be in a marriage that is emotionally and mentally abusive. And I know how long it took for me to heal from that once I made the choice to leave the marriage. And so I say to you, don't allow yourself to stay in that place. There are people who can help you. There are organizations that can help you. You have friends, you have families who won't judge you and can help you move from one place to the other, whether that means a physical move where you have to run for your life. I had to do that. Whether that means that you have to go someplace to talk to somebody to help you work through that process. There are people who can help you. Don't allow the enemy in that respect to bring you to a place where you are so boggled down by abuse, you are so beaten down that you can't function, that you can't be the best you that you can possibly be. Don't allow somebody else to bring you to a place that God does not want you to be. So I encourage you on today, take care of yourself. If you feel that twinge, if you feel that weight, if you just need to go just to get an overhaul. We take our cars to get tune-ups every so often. We get our oil changed every so many miles. We need to do that for our mind, our body, and our spirit. And it was so weighing on me just to encourage you in that area. Make sure that you do what you need to do in order to be the best you that you can be. I remember years ago having a pastor who was running. He was at this church. He was at that church. The choir was running behind him to support him at this retreat, at this revival. And we were doing things back to back all through the week. And we were doing this for years, going to 2 and 3 churches every Sunday, because he would preach and the choir would sing and he would preach, and halfway through his sermon the choir would get up and leave to go to the next service, and then we would be singing and ministering until he got there, and then he would preach, and then we would do the same thing and leave and go to another service. And we would do this for weeks and weeks at a time, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it got to the point where I remember saying to him, I said, you know what, Pastor? And he was starting to get sick and he was starting to get tired. And there were some things that had taken place physically in his past that had started to arise. And I remember, and I was young at the time, I was a teenager. And I remember distinctly saying to him, Pastor, you know what? God can't use you if you are laying in the cemetery. God can't use you and me if we are laying in the cemetery because we have not taken care of ourselves. God can't use us if our mental state is so cluttered that we can't even speak the word. We can't sing the word. We can't testify of his goodness because our mind is so boggled down. Take time to see your doctor. Do that overhaul. Do that physical update. Make sure you're where you need to be. Make sure your blood pressure is where it needs to be. Make sure you're taking your vitamins. Make sure you're taking your medications if you need to. Make sure that the medications that you are taking are not interacting with each other. That's important as well. Make sure, there's so much that I want to say here, but I don't want to keep this particular Talks in the Car overly long. But make sure you are taking care of you. Mind, body, and spirit, so that you can be all that you can be for God, so that you can minister, you can give your testimony, you can sing, you can take care of your family, you can take care of your children, you can be at your best at your job. It is important. God is looking for you to be healthy. He's looking for you to do the best that you can do for the entire temple. It's more than just the spiritual. It's more than just your mind. It's more than just your body. He wants all three to be in the proper alignment so that you can be the best you can be for him. You have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we will see you next time. And we might have to talk about this a little bit more in upcoming Talks in the Car. But have a wonderful day. Take care of yourself, mind, body, and spirit. We'll see you next time on Talks in the Car.